Hi, this is Unknown again with a video about grip in our AIM training series. Hopefully you've seen the videos on sensitivity and mouse setup because this will build upon those. In order to choose your grip, you have to decide on what mouse you want, and generally the smaller and lighter you choose your mouse, the more suited it is to take advantage of fingertip mobility, such as in fingertip grip or in claw grip. The larger and heavier your mouse is, the more likely you are to use a palm grip. Let's talk about finger mobility since I mentioned it. Again, this isn't a series to replicate information that exists all over YouTube, but to bring it together in one guide, there's three basic grips: fingertip, claw, and palm, in order of decreasing micro vertical adjustment potential. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and look up the different grip types and open another tab and look through those videos demonstrating each grip. Essentially, when you involve your fingers in the mouse movement, you gain precise vertical tracking, and you can also involve the fingers in the horizontal aiming, left and right on your pad, but you are sacrificing a bit of stability and control when you use this grip, or this mobility. Depending on how you grip the mouse though, you may find, since the arc you make with the mouse is a bit further out from the palm, as in the sensor is a bit further out, when you make these arcs, you might want to use a lower sense to compensate for that. But here's our first issue. What goals do you have for your aim, and what type of aim will you need in your particular game? Because not all games are created equal. If you need this good vertical adjustment and very detailed tracking, then you'll want this fingertip grip. But you don't want to begin subtracting from your advantages. If you lower your sensitivity, you're back at square one, where you don't have enough mouse travel to generate the mouse movements that you need. Hybridization it seems like a good idea, but in my experience, you'll just become weak in everything. So better to specialize. So in order to not make compromises here, if your game does require micro adjustments and reactive vertical tracking, then I recommend fingertip. As well as I would recommend the glass pad that we talked about in our setup video to prevent any resistance that will fatigue your fingers and joints or restrict your movements in any way. A higher sense here is also a good idea, but stick to the general rules of sensitivity selection. And if you're unsure about what is a decent sensitivity, go copy a pro that uses a fingertip grip. Or if you want to be systematic, you can go take a look at our sensitivity selection video and use the range test that we mentioned with about 120 degrees of wrist movement in game. And you need to know what you're sacrificing with this setup. This setup requires more practice to get to a mastery level, but normally the games you would use the grip for are more aim intensive, so you should have been prepared for a little bit more effort to get to this level of aim. You'll also lack in smoothing and stability in your aim, which will be one of the pillars of aiming we talk about in our progression video, and you might have to address that, or depending on what tracking you're doing, it might not be an issue. The next grip is claw grip. Claw grip really tries to be the best hybrid of fingertip and palm, giving you some mobility but some stability. But it's exactly that, a hybridization, and we know how I feel about hybrids. This grip can be prone to hand fatigue, as it's natural to aggressively grip the mouse in periods where you need to impose the control. It is also not very natural or comfortable of a grip to keep your fingers curled up and tensed up like this. Nevertheless, many aimers use this grip, and I can't deny the results they've achieved with it. There are some incredible aimers that swear by claw grip. So, what does this grip excel in? The grip is great if you don't use or don't have side buttons for whatever reason. Adjusting your grip after making a side button click will disrupt your aim with this grip style. This grip also excels in quick, small vertical adjustments, such as someone crouching, or maybe even a jump, but a crouch is a small vertical adjustment. So if your game is reliant on making an adjustment for crouches, then this grip might suit you. What immediately comes to mind here is Valorant, which is why you see a lot of Valorant aimers with this claw grip. It has relatively little need mouse buttons in combat, as in Valorant, and your aim will fatigue less as there's only a few moments where you'll need to tense up and impose that control. And crouchers will also be much easier to farm with this grip. Another plus of the grip is that you can choke up on almost any mouse in some form of a claw grip. But generally you want a mouse with a low front click profile, so the buttons are decently low down, but not too low as you'll find you can't really lock in your grip. And you want anchor points in the mid back of the mouse and a hump at the back of the mouse so you can dig in and rest your palm into that. Great mice for this is the MZ1 Rails Wireless or the Shroud G303. I've actually bought the Shroud G303 and given this mouse a good try in Valorant, and I just really did not find myself liking the mouse. But if you want to really commit to this mouse, that mouse is adapted for this grip style. I would recommend not to even consider it if you have smaller hands. It really only fits larger hands. But the G305 that we mentioned in our setup review or the Superlight work with this grip as well. Like I said, you can choke up on almost any mouse and form some sort of a claw grip, but you'll probably want to go to a customized mouse at some point and ditch the safer options. The final grip, and probably the most common, is the palm grip. This grip is one where you make a lot of contact with your mouse, and so you have a lot of control and stability in your tracking, or with a tight enough grip to make fast, large flicks without losing control of the mouse. A lot of people find this is the most comfortable and natural. If you don't know where to start, I would say start with this grip. It's also the easiest grip to make progressions in, and you start out at one of the higher levels in this grip, and you'll be able to progress through all of the cores of aiming with this type of a grip. You're going to want a larger mouse for this, and make sure your mouse pad is big enough and smooth enough to use this grip, as you'll be involving a lot of arm movements. I recommend using an arm sleeve if you run into any troubles like resistance or sticking on your arm. I still would not recommend a heavy mouse for long-term feats of aim, and I still stand by my recommendation of the glass pad, even more with this grip, as you can impose a lot of control and stability to your aim with this grip. So you won't find anything lacking by using this glass pad. This grip can be applied to most types of situations, however, it's definitely optimal for smooth horizontal tracking. So now that you know how to choose a mouse and a pad in a sense and a grip that's right for you, it's time to ditch the weird grip where you right click with your thumb, and hopefully no one's doing that. Anyways, that's all for this video. Hopefully it helps someone make a decision. If you're interested in hearing more, you know what to do. Drop a like and a sub, and I'll see you in the next video.